Hey everyone, Colin here from the Daubers, and welcome to Shim-Line Saturdays. So we are now into round three of the competition. We're down to the final eight competitors, and I've decided to be very evil, very harsh. This is my criteria for this week. For these rounds, I'm looking for which Shim-Line I think ruins the card. So I'm looking at the most negative approach you could have, but that's what I'm going to look at this time round. So this is where if they get the more close to the 5 star will be how less it impacts the card, is what I'm thinking. But if you get the low scores, I'm going to say it's been impacted by having a shim. So let's just go straight into the first of the pairings and we'll look at Titanic Combat. So we have the card from the Godzilla Challenger series from the collector packs. And straight off the bat, we'll try and zoom in a little bit, but you can see that shim right down the centre, just off to the left. I'm already looking at this going, right, so we want to basically zoom in on the art. The text box can come into play a little bit, but I think for the most part, we're looking at solely the art. Now, when I look at this, obviously we see it cutting through Mecha Godzilla's nose a little bit, and then it just misses the nose of Godzilla, which I am actually going to give it some props because it's not cut out the main man himself. So I think that's not too bad. It's it basically cuts down the middle of the two of them. In fact, I'm actually going to say I actually quite like this a little bit. I don't think this actually ruins it too much because see when you look at it, it kind of looks like a split down the middle between the two competitors. I'm actually going to say that's not crazy. If it was just a smidgen to the left, as much as it would be off Mecha Godzilla's nose, I think it would be more into Zilla's nose. So maybe that's a tough one. That actually is a tough one. When we look through the card text side of things as such, it just doesn't really do too much, to be honest. So I'm not going to really harshly point that one out. But as I say, we're mostly looking, is there a point where the shim is hidden? Kind of there at the best. If you get the right angle, you can get rid of the shim. Otherwise, I think, yeah, it's very noticeable, this one, to be fair. I think also the fact it's more quite in the centre. Oh, this one's came off. This one's came off really fast and strong. I think with the power of the shims, I think we've got to give this a three. I think on an art front. So again, my criteria for this week. This doesn't have to be yours at home, but my criteria is: does it interrupt the art? Does it ruin the art? And I actually think this is probably falling right on the lines of not really as such. It's just very prominent. So I think it gets hit harshly for the fact that it's very noticeable. Like it's a super duper shim, right? But at the same time as well, it doesn't like if it cut right through like Zilla's head, for instance, I think that would ruin the art a bajillion%, you know, take that one to the bank. But I think this one not. I think we're fine with this one. So yeah. A three. I think a three is pretty just as such. It kinda interrupts the art just down to the fact how prominent it is, but at the same time as well, it doesn't interrupt the art to the extent of fully ruining it either. So let's go with three. So let's have a look at who he is fighting off against. And we have from Critical Role itself, Nature's Tempest. Now, this one, again, has one of those absolutely very defining foiling where the foil is amazing. The foiling is amazing. You can just see how the light hits it perfectly. But you can see that shim pretty aggressively as well. So, like, I think both of these cards are hitting that kind of scenario where the foiling is so good in it. To be honest, that actually like the actual shim looks so much worse, almost because of how good the foiling is. Like, look how shiny that is. That is absolute perfection of a shiny. But as I say, that foiling shim line there, that feature that we have in place is a bit rough. It is a bit rough. It cuts weirdly enough, though, right? It kind of cuts behind the arm. See, when you actually look at the way the shim goes, it kind of looks as if it goes the shim with the colouring on the arm. It kind of just looks as if the shim goes behind the arm completely. It doesn't actually, but it does give off that visual impression that it does that, which in a way I actually want to say does kind of save it a little bit. Like, I think it doesn't hit that one leaf that I was very, very noticeable about as well. It misses the leaf. I think if it touched the leaf, we would have to go out and touch some grass and give it an absolute solid 0. But it has left the nature alone. With this, I think, yeah, it just looks like it cuts behind the art more than it cuts in front. It's not cutting through necessarily any much of, is this Keyleth into it? It's not really cutting through Keyleth at all, other than that bit of the arm. So it's kind of also put itself in like the only decent spot a shim could be, if we really think that's a thing. But I think we can say that safely as a thing, and we can go, yeah, it's in that spot right in the middle where there's really nothing happening. If it was too far to the left side, obviously it would cut through the hand or cut through Keyleth completely. This is just hit the kind of perfect. This is a tough one. Do you know what? I made this criteria this week to be really harsh, solely just to try and really kind of make a kind of like, who do I really think should go through? But I think we've actually hit two cards straight off the bat that actually kind of dodged this whole question. I'm going to give this a 3 as well. I'm going to be. I think I have to be fair to both of them. To be honest, I think I have to be fair to both of them. They kind of both have quite dodged the question of does it ruin the art, because they're kind of in the spots that don't actually have anything to do with the art. So that's a thing. Yep, that planning has went well. I mean, we'll obviously get the rest of the weeks to find out whether or not that's going to be a major player or not. But hopefully this question actually does help, because obviously we've done some super zooms. We're seeing some of the stuff, and otherwise we have to just put the two of them together now and be like, which one of the two would you rather? Oh, that didn't work. Oh god, that didn't work. Oh my goodness, I'm blinded. I'm blinded. And as well. Oh my god, we just absolutely flashbanged ourselves trying to get a different bit of lighting source. But let's put the two together. We have Titanic Combat from the Godzilla Challenger Series collector packs versus Nature's Tempest from the Critical Role set. Which one do you think should go through to the next round? Bear in mind, the winner of this is going into the top 4, where we are very close to finding out which one of these two cards could potentially be getting graded. On top of that, as I always say, we now post these up absolutely everywhere. So on the Facebooks where we post them on the multiple groups, you're allowed to comment there. On the YouTube video, comment there which one you actually want to see in the next round. We do the YouTube shorts on the Sunday. Comment on that one as well, saying which one you want to go through. Do you want multiple votes? These are how you do it. We also are all now on the TikToks. So on Sunday as well, when the short goes live, the TikTok goes live, you have another access to a vote. And obviously, if you really want to, you can put it up in the Daubers Discord as well, saying which one you want to go through. Like 5+ ways to vote. You can very aggressively skew the vote in your own direction, see which card you want to see me grade, and then we'll do something fun with that at the end. But yeah, that has been the start of the top 8 for Shim-Line Saturdays, everybody. I've been Connor, and I shall see you all next week for Pairing 2. Catch us later on.